in Acts 12 verse 5, it says, Peter was therefore kept in prison, but constant prayer was offered to God for him by the church. So Peter was put in prison by Herod because he just didn't like the church. And Herod had arrested Peter, put him in prison, and delivered him to 4 squads of soldiers to keep him. So there was people surrounding him. When he was in prison, there were people on his left and right. There was people at the gates on the left and right side, people staying guard and watching so Peter couldn't get out. And in verse 6 it says, and when Herod was about to bring him out, that night Peter was sleeping. Just remember, it talked about in verse 5 how there was constant prayer was offered to God for him by the church. And yeah, Peter was sleeping in verse 6. That night Peter was sleeping. He was bound with 2 chains. 2 chains held his wrists so he couldn't move. The chains were holding him. And he was, like I said before, he was between 2 soldiers. And the guards before the door were keeping the prison. So they were protecting it so that Peter couldn't get out. And in verse 7 it says, now behold, an angel of the Lord stood by him, and a light shone in the prison. And he struck Peter on the side and raised him up, saying, arise quickly. And his chains fell off his hands. Then the angel said to him, gird yourself and tie on your sandals. And so he did. And he said to him, put on your garment and follow me. So I just want to relate this back to anything that we go through, the trials we go through. Sometimes we feel like we're in prison. Sometimes we feel like we're chained up. We're being held by guards that are not letting us out. And we feel like we've been put in prison by the devil and his demons are holding us. And sometimes it may not be us. Sometimes it may be others. But the thing is, I feel like this is a great representation of being faithful to God. Even though you may be feeling locked up, even though you may be feeling like you're in prison, Peter was asleep. He wasn't worried. He wasn't concerned. Or he probably was concerned. He probably was worried. But he slept peacefully. He rested in God. He knew God would be faithful. In my commentary part, it says, Peter lay soundly asleep in Herod's prison. This is faith in action. Faith snoozes even in a storm. He was resting in the storm. And how did he rest? He rested in God. He rested in his faith in God, that God would be faithful. He trusted that whatever happened to him would be God's will. He was okay with whatever happened because he wanted God's will. So he trusted, and God was like, I'm not done with you. So he sent his angel. And the angel said to him, gird yourself. And I searched this up, gird means one of the definitions. It says to prepare yourself for something very difficult, or something difficult or something. So it would have not been easy for Peter to get out of the prison. It's not easy for us to get out of those prisons where we feel like we may be, where we feel like we're trapped in the devil's lies, trapped in by guards for demons. It's not going to be easy. That's why the angel said to Peter, gird yourself. Get ready for this difficult thing. And in verse 9 it says, so he went out and followed him and did not know that what was done by the angel was real, but thought he was seeing a vision. He didn't know if it was real. He didn't know what was happening. He didn't know where he was going. Like it says, verse 10, when they were past the first and the second guard post, they came to the iron gate that leads to the city, which opened to them of its own accord. And they went out and went down one street, and immediately the angel departed from him. That means, like, that says something. It's like Peter didn't know where he was going. God brought him out of a trial, brought him out of the prison that he felt like he was in, and then he was good. He didn't know where he was going, and he just trusted. He had faith in that. He could have been like, oh no, God will save me. It's alright, God will save me. Oh wait, maybe this is God saving me. And that's something we need to realize also. We need to realize when God is trying to save us. There's this story of this man who lived in a place, I don't know where it was, I don't know if it's even real, but there was a flood, and there was a flood around his house, and he got on his roof, and the flood was like all the way up to his house, almost up to the roof, and he called out to God. He was like, Lord, please save me. And many times in the Bible it says, call on the name of the Lord and you will be saved, or cry out to the Lord and you will be saved. And he did that. The man did that, and he waited, and a canoe came along and said, oh, do you need some help? We can take you, we can save you. And he was like, nah, it's alright, God is going to save me, I'm okay. And then he kept on praying, and then a bigger boat came, and then they said the same thing, oh, do you want to come with us? We can bring you out of this, we can save you. And again, the guy was like, no, it's okay, God's going to save me. And then again and again, he prayed, and he cried out to the Lord saying, what's happening? Like, why aren't you saving me? And then a helicopter came, and the guy in the helicopter trying to save him was like, oh, come on, get on the helicopter, we're trying to save you, get on. And he was like, no, it's okay, God's gonna save me. And he had faith in God, he did, but he didn't see God trying to save him. He was waiting for God himself to save him, which most of the time is not going to happen. God is going to send a messenger. He's going to send an angel. He's going to send a messenger, an angel, and the word angel, I'm pretty sure it actually means messenger. So, God sends his angels to come and save us. So we have to be really actually focused, and we have to be like, okay, is this what God's trying to do? Is he trying to save me from this in this way? And I would say, if there's any way that God is trying to save you in, go for it. I know you want to be saved, and if that saving is through going to church, if that saving is going to a youth group, if that saving is opening up your Bible, if that saving is a message on YouTube, on TikTok, on Spotify, take it. You want to be saved. And there's so much out there on YouTube, on TikTok, on Spotify, on podcasts, everywhere. There's so much information, so much good stuff, so much spirit-led stuff to save us, to help us. And God gives people those revelations so that people can be saved. But some of us just don't open our eyes. So I would tell you, ask you, continue praying that you can have ears to hear, eyes to see, because sometimes we just don't see it. So the Lord will save you. And one thing I just wanted to mention again, Peter was asleep. He was content. He wasn't content. He obviously, maybe he was content. Maybe he was content that maybe where he was, he trusted in God. If God allowed him to be in jail, then that was okay. But then he was content and he was asleep. And the angel had to wake him up and said, okay, get ready. It's time. It's time to go. It's time to move. It's time to get out of here. It may be hard. It may look like an uphill mountain to get out of here, to get out of this prison, to get out of his trial. But it's the way. It's the only way. It's Jesus. Jesus is the way. So, yeah. Take the chances God gives you to be saved, and continue being with God through these trials, because if you're not resting in God through his trials, then it's going to be hard for you to get out, because Jesus is the only way. And if you're not resting in him, you're not going to know that he can save you. You're not going to know that he will bring you out of this. So yeah, I encourage you, rest in God. If you don't know how to do that, search it up on YouTube. There's plenty of spirit-led sermons out there, spirit-led messages on how to rest in God.